Welcome back to the channel. I'm joined again by Henry Wright this morning as we review and look ahead, really, because there's Premier League games literally in a couple of days' time. Well, in 1 day's time. Tomorrow it starts. As we look ahead at another round of Premier League fixtures, we look back at Chelsea's 1-1 draw with Arsenal, Man United's epic comeback against Crystal Palace, Liverpool finally win a game, and the Tottenham lose again at White Hart Lane. I don't know really what's worse, Henry, your home form or your hair, to be honest with you. But
yeah, I mean, today, yeah. I mean, I've actually been up a good couple of hours since we recorded this, and it just kind of looks like you've thrown a frag grenade at my head.
Yeah, you should go back to the Sinead O'Connor. That was your best look. Your Sinead O'Connor. That was the one. Do you know what I mean?
Sinead O'Connor
Nothing compares to you. No, definitely Sinead, mate. You got the Irish look, and you got the Irish look. But look, well, I want to start with Tottenham before we go into the other games. I want to start with Tottenham because it was abysmal. You've got your manager having to go at the fans for booing Vicario for every touch in the game after your second goal. The game was over. It was finished in 360 seconds, and rumor has it gave your wife PTSD. And I just, from my point of view is, where are you with Tottenham after another home defeat? Only 3 wins at home in the Premier League. In a calendar year. Talk to me, Henry. Talk to me.
Well, 3 wins their calendar year is relegation form, isn't it? Let's be honest. I mean, we could talk about the PSG and the Arsenal result. Fair enough, you're playing 2 of the best teams in Europe right now, but it's unacceptable to lose to Fulham, to lose to Bournemouth, to lose to Villa, to lose to Chelsea, to bottle it at the very end against Manchester United, who sat back for so long. Our away form this season in some games, we should have lost to Monaco. We should have lost to Bodo Glimt. We drew to Wolves. Wolves' only away point this season is against us. Fulham's only away win this season is against us. Bournemouth's only away win this season is against us. And we've got Newcastle United tomorrow, which, let's be brutally honest, the form they're in at home, it's very unlikely we go and win. And then after that, we've got Brentford, who have got one of the most informed strikers in the league. And then we play Forest away. I said on the terrace a week ago that I don't know if he necessarily makes Christmas. And I stand by that. Our fans don't necessarily, they're not patient enough for a project. If you look at what Arteta's done, for instance, they finished 8th twice. I don't think Tottenham are prepared to do that and stick by a manager. But I also don't think Thomas Frank's necessarily the right man to stick by. If you look at the options we had on the bench against Fulham, you're starting in midfield of Archie Gray and Paulinho, who only played together a couple of times, Bergvall on the left and Kudus on the right. But you've got Bentancur, Xavi Simons, Odegaard, Sarr and Tell, 5 of our better players. And I can't actually believe I'm saying this, but I actually miss Brennan Johnson in this Spurs team. That is how bad it's got. I'm actually wondering where one of our players is going. And I'll be honest, mate, I don't actually know where our next win comes from, because our run of games is difficult. We're not creating any clear-cut chances. For the first 70 minutes, our XG was 0.07, which is the 4th game in a row at home our XG has been poor. I mean, you're playing Fulham, who haven't won an away game all season. They won't get an easier 3 points. You're 2-0 down in the opening 8 minutes. I'm sorry, mate. That doesn't matter how. So even some of the most positive Spurs fans, you can't dress that up as anything other than piss poor. Let's be honest, it is.
Do you know what? I'm at a crossroad with Tottenham. Now, they're not my football club, as everybody knows. So I will always listen to what fans of somebody, Tottenham fans say. But it's also important to sometimes get a different view from an outsider that has no emotion. I actually think Thomas Frank in the last 2 or 3 games has made some mistakes. There's no doubt. But what I think he's doing is testing different. He has to, in real time, test different combinations. This isn't working. These guys aren't giving it to be good enough in training. This isn't happening here and there. But I think what Spurs fans and your club in general suffer with, from your squad right through to your supporters, is what's called a rosy retrospection, which is that you sort of soften the negative details of previous problems when a new problem arises. So, for instance, the amount of tweets I'm seeing saying we should never have sacked Ange had us playing well, Ange had us in a better position, we were better under Ange. Yes, at this stage last season, you had a couple of extra points compared to what Thomas Frank's got, but you did finish 17th. That's being forgotten about. You did win a trophy, absolutely, but I remember the meltdowns last year. Now, that isn't to say Thomas Frank shouldn't be criticised, but Spurs fans do very similar things to what Man United fans are going through, which is you know what, I wish we had Ollie back. Oh, I wish Ten Hag was here, at least under Jose, when they were. It's because the actual problems are never really your manager. The problems are your lack of quality in your squad, a lack of correct culture and mentality from the boardroom. And I always look at a board as not top down. I don't like the expression top down. I look at it as middle out. They're your heartbeat. And it's rotten. At the end of the day, if you've got heart disease, you can go and get your teeth done in Turkey, your hairline done in Harley Street. You can go and get a spray tan. You're still going to drop down dead unless you sort that out. You know, I feel like Spurs, everything's always cosmetic. It's, this new exciting player, or all at the stadium's nice. But you're actually fixing the issues at your club. And I go back to that story that came out before your Champions League final, where your players all got like participation watches from the ownership, or well done for getting to the final. And I know that's an example, but ages ago, Terry, it doesn't matter. And I don't think that behavior has been pushed out of your football club. So I think your players also have this view of, I'm at Tottenham. There isn't the demand to win, but they also don't like being made to play the football that Thomas Frank's making them play. And I'll give you an example. If all your squad were at Brentford, I think their mentality would be, yeah, I've got to play like this. I'm at Brentford. Their stadium cost £70 million to build. This stadium was £1 billion project. Here, why am I playing like that? It's this. Tottenham for me are the definition of, and I'm talking attitude here more so than the actual money. It is champagne taste, lemonade money. Yeah. It's someone that hasn't got any money wearing a Mizuno shirt on a night out to make it look like, oh, look how wealthy I am. I've got a Mizuno shirt. I've got no money for drinks. I've got to walk home and it's a 5-hour walk, but I'm here in a Mizuno shirt. That's kind of Tottenham. It's all fur coat and no knickers. And I say this, and I know people go, well, talk about the game, Terry. Well, for me, it's those cultural issues that are always going to impact you on the football pitch, because what I didn't see, forget who started, I didn't see your players running through a brick wall. I didn't see your players start with any intensity in the game. I didn't see your players look like they really wanted to be there. And for me, that's a bigger issue than tactics. And we'll get on to United soon. But look, you guys are in a little bit of trouble for me. I like Thomas Frank. I think he's a really talented manager. I don't think your players, and I don't think half your fans, are prepared to go through the dark days to get back to being a really solid team again. I don't think they're prepared to do the hard work. I think they want to play a brand of football. Ironically, this is the thing. You can bring someone in that plays a more expansive, exciting brand of football. But I actually then think you'll get exposed in the other end, which is you're not good enough to play that way. And you're in the same position. I think you've got to become more dogmatic. You've got to become more, what's the word we're looking for? Pragmatic in your approach, a little bit more defensive, and then build the squad out from there. But I don't think your players want to do it. So I feel like you're between this. And this happened very similar under Nuno. It was like, we ain't playing like this. It's like, I think someone's got to get in that dressing room and tell the players, this is where you're at.
I think a lot of people wouldn't necessarily be too bothered if you were getting results with a pragmatic style of play. But
yeah, true.
I think we've won one home game all season, which was against Burnley. But, I mean, some of the teams we've played recently have literally battered us. And just to give you some context, our next 5 league games are Newcastle away, Brentford at home, Forest away, Liverpool at home, Palace away. And I can't believe how much you're going to say on this. I don't think we win any of those league games. And I don't think the masses in the Tottenham fan base are prepared to sit here. And let's say if we finish 7th right now, or 8th, I think a lot of Spurs fans say we've had a good season. Looking at juggling Champions League, looking at the squad, some of the injuries they've had. I think, but at this moment in time, I don't think we are the 8th best team in the league. I don't think we're anywhere near there, and I don't know where our next league win comes from. And if we don't win a handful of these next 5 games, the daggers are going to be out.
Mate, I don't.
Get out your pot.
A little cup of char, little milk pourer. Listen, I don't disagree with the way the fans will behave. I think you're spot on when you say that, but I think that I don't think Spurs fans are looking at your true root cause properly. It is a substandard squad for a club of your size and the income that you've got that cannot play expansive football without being exposed. You saw that with Ange. I know his high line was a big part of it, but you'll get exposed. Equally, I don't think your squad wants to play the way Thomas Frank wants to. So therefore, the intensity isn't there. So you're losing. It's this rock and hard place. The most important thing to focus, again, you can get rid of Ange and bring in another pragmatist, same problem. You can bring in a more expansive manager, similar problems to Ange. This is about looking at your board and saying, build us the right squad and the right players for how we want to play. So you either have to just keep spending big and trying to bring in the most technically gifted players that can play a more expansive brand, or you go the other way, which is they start playing players that don't think that they're beyond the dog work now that they're at Tottenham, and just build a really strong pragmatic side, or a team that's a bit more of a hybrid. I just think there's an identity crisis. You've got football club dysphoria is what I call Tottenham right now. You don't know what you are. One day you're a they, the next day you're a them. I don't think you know what you are. Like you're very confused. So, but look, viewers, I'd love to get your take on Spurs. What are the problems in Europe? What's the root cause problems? What's the solution to making Tottenham a better team? Obviously, a big shock at the weekend was my boys. 1-0 down at halftime. No intensity to our game. Missed 2 massive chances. 1-0 down. And you're thinking, away at Palace, not won there in 5 years. But a turnaround. A 2-1 win. Xerxes and Mount both scoring. I couldn't believe. I also then went into my son's room later on in the afternoon and found rocking horse shit. I couldn't believe it. Like, all those things in one day was crazy. But, decent turnaround.
Yeah, really good second half from you boys. 2 really good goals. Under the cosh first half. I thought Palace were by far the better team. Obviously had that goal ruled out from Mateta. Then he scores the penalty. But you're a very interesting team, right? Because it couldn't have got any worse Monday night. That performance against Everton, playing against 10 men, running out of ideas in the final third. And then you look at the goals you took. It's a really good finish from Xerxes, and it's a fantastic free kick from Mason Mount. Now, if you build on this, which I think you can, I think the next 2 home games, I think you win. I think you beat West Ham on Thursday, because yesterday, I mean, that was a training session for Liverpool. They barely got out of first gear.
Paqueta missing as well, because what a great red card from him.
Yeah, I mean that's I don't understand why he's done that either. But I think you will beat West Ham. I think you will beat Bournemouth. But it looked like 2 different games yesterday. You couldn't have got any worse in the first half, and then you score 2 relatively quick goals, and all of a sudden you manage the game out. And bearing in mind, you were missing Harry Maguire, you were missing Sesko, and you were missing someone else as well.
Cunha.
Yeah, and Cunha. So you are missing some key players. You're only playing 1 game a week, so you can't. A lot of players. I mean, I think you said it before that Bernardo Silva used to say that you prefer playing every 3 or 4 days because you got more time to turn things around. You've had to wait, 5-6 days to respond to Everton, and you've gone out there in the second half, put a decent performance in. And Palace have been one of the better teams at home this season, but you've got to build on this now. If you don't go and beat West Ham on Thursday, you're going to be yo-yo FC throughout the whole year.
I agree. Our next 2 games are West Ham at home and Wolves away. I expect to. They've got Bournemouth at home. I expect the next 2 games. I'm not even looking at Bournemouth yet. I expect the next 2 games to be wins. I expect the next 2 games to be 6 points, and I expect United Strand to be getting excited about thinking about a haircut, which I think would be. You should join him. To be fair, Henry, you should join him with that bullshit haircut, mate. It's got to go. And I feel like I get really annoyed at the Man United fan base sometimes online. And I mean this with respect. We all have differences of opinions, and they're allowed them. And I don't want to shut anybody's opinion down. I'm just challenging it. We often don't focus on what our some of our biggest problems are. We definitely need a more technical squad, and we definitely need a more physically capable squad. But the lack of work rate in our team at times, the lack of intensity, the lack of mentality, I've been calling it out for 4, 5, 6 years, and it always seems to get brushed to the side. And I'm so glad to hear Alan Shearer actually do some punditry last night, where he broke it down on Match of the Day, and it echoed everything I'd said on our match reaction. We came out in the second half, and it was because of Amorim. Amorim has said this publicly. He said, I told the guys, look, they're getting tired. They played on Thursday. You can see their energy levels dropping, but you guys are taking the piss. You guys aren't pressing hard enough. You are not tracking back hard enough. You are not working hard enough. And in the first half, again, none of our 10s were dropping into the midfield to help out. Second half, Mbumo's dropping back into that area. The centre-backs are stepping up into the middle at the right time. If we miss the first tackle, someone's winning that second ball. Xerxes became more physical. He actually he's a huge man, used his weight. We pressed them better. We made it harder for them. We made them work even harder. They were really tired. We wore them down. And fair enough, if they hadn't played midweek, it would have been a harder task to have done that. But you've got to, tactics in football are about what you're facing in that moment. What intense games have they played? Look, would Arsenal have been better yesterday if they hadn't played Bayern Munich and Spurs in the previous 6 days? There's a chance they would have done. If their games would have been at home to Wolves and they were playing Karabag at home in the Champions League, would they have been would they have had more in their legs in this game? Potentially, right?
Yeah.
Had Barca not had a man sent off early, would Chelsea have been a little more tired? This is taking nothing away from Chelsea, by the way. I'm just giving an example. But there was a reason that Chelsea came out and they exploited that by being even more aggressive. So take it away from there and back to Man United. We need to be a more intense team. Against Everton, we didn't play with any intensity. We didn't move the ball quick enough. When we're losing and we get a rocket up the arse, suddenly the intensity comes in, which tells me it's mentality more than ability. Because when we put the effort in, you saw the quality of the players come through. Now, we need to still improve 80% of the squad. There's no doubt about it. But I can't forgive, and maybe it's my personality, I can forgive someone failing a job. I can forgive someone not landing a deal. I can forgive someone making a bad thumbnail for me. It's really not what we asked for, mate. But if I know they put the effort in and they're really trying, I'm never angry with them. The reason I get angry with this Man United team is there's often such a lack of effort. Yeah. But the second half for me, effort-wise, is what I'm asking for. And I get called out a lot for this. I get called out a lot for this by United fans going, you said it's a mentality problem, Terry, but look, we came back. We came back because the mentality wasn't right in the first half, you dickhead. It's literally that.
It literally was 2 different games.
Oh, it was 2 different teams. It was just, again, if you came down at half-time from space and just put that game on and watched it, you guys, a good team, that Man United. Decent, aren't they? You wouldn't know. And you don't go from having no ability in the first half to having ability in the second. The ability is there. It's how you apply yourself. It's how you conduct yourself. Same as any job out there. And you've done multiple jobs. It's about, if you put in enough effort, you will get something out of it. Generally speaking, you just do. But I was very happy with the comeback, very happy with Xerxes. But for me, it's now about, you've got to win the next 2 games. You've got to make this away win count. Win the next 2 games, we'll sit in I think United will be in the top 4, or at least the top 5 if we win our next 2 matches. And Wolves, home and away, a lot of the teams above us a lot of them have already played those 2 teams, and they've been gimmies most of the season. We've got to go and take those 6 points, and then you go, right, 15 games in, sitting in the top 5, get through the festive period. I then hope Ineos invest, and it's like this aim for a European spot. We haven't been perfect this year. My feet are still firmly on the ground, but let's get those wins in. Viewers, give us your thoughts on United's comeback and let us know what you think. And Phil, look, I want to speak Arsenal. I want to speak Chelsea, though. It was a big one at the weekend. And I mean, the rhetoric after the game has been a little weird to me, if I'm being honest. I'm hearing crazy conversations. I heard a Chelsea fan say on a fan cam last night, we proved today Arsenal ain't shit. And then at the same time said, put respect on Chelsea. We show we're a top team. Which is it? Did you only manage to draw with a shit team at home? Or is Chelsea really good because they stopped a really good side? Which of the I don't see how those 2 things can coexist at the same time. I've seen Arsenal fans sort of bemoan the physicality of Chelsea and, we had a few injuries, but listen, you didn't have the intensity. You didn't match the physicality for large parts of the game. There's some issues there. But overall, what did you make of the game, the result? What do you think?
I think if you would have asked both sets of fans at the beginning of the game, would you have taken a draw? I think a lot of fans would have. On the balance of things, bearing in mind Chelsea played for 60 minutes with 10 men. Arsenal, for me, just like you said, they didn't play with any conviction. It was very, I don't want to say he went back to playing with the handbrake on, but it was a little bit like that first half. Chelsea were by far the better team, creating more chances. Arsenal, I think, only had 2 shots in the first half. Second half, they did go for it. Of course, Arsenal without both their key centre-backs. Gyökeres on the bench, Odegaard on the bench. Not the strongest Arsenal team. Chelsea also without Cole Palmer, Colwill. One thing's for certain after that game is Chelsea are 100% in this race. Whether Arsenal fans want to admit that or not, Chelsea are there. I don't get what Caicedo is doing. He's trying to cover so much ground. He's trying to win the ball back. It's a little bit reckless from him, that tackle. Reckless is probably an understatement. On another day, he could have done real damage because he does put significant force into it. But even with 10 men, they take the lead from a set piece. I thought Chelsea defensively were good. Chalobah's really stepped up since he's come back on loan from Palace. That's definitely the best centre-back partnership for Fana and Chalobah. Reece James, I mean, you said this to me, and I may have nicked it and used it on my fan cam yesterday, that I think he's the only player in the Premier League right now that is world-class in 2 positions. I mean, yesterday, some of the passes he was playing out to Garnacho, like he's just, I'm going to say, I do think he is better than Timber. I think if he plays at right back, he's the best in Europe. If he plays in central midfield, he plays to a world-class standard. And I think Chelsea held a really good account of themselves, and they should be happy with that performance. But they need to keep it going. They have to go and beat Leeds. They have to go and beat Bournemouth. They have to go and beat Everton. For Arsenal, if I said to you at the beginning of the season, you would have got a win against Manchester United, you would have got a draw against City, you would have got a draw against Chelsea, you would have beaten Spurs, you'd have beaten Bayern Munich, you'd be 5 points still clear of City. The Arsenal fans would take that with every, with both fans. And if they go and beat Brentford, there is a little bit of a meltdown like there was after Sunderland, but at the end of the day, they're still, 18, 19 games unbeaten or whatever it is.
17. 17.
That's 15.
17 all comps, yeah. I think
17. They're in a really good position, but I just felt Chelsea yesterday. I mean, if they go on and this season and they add maybe a player in January, I think they are going to be the biggest. I know City at the moment are ahead in the table, but they nearly threw it away against Leeds. Chelsea don't look like they're going to do that at the moment.
No, I'm going to come on to Chelsea in a minute because I've got some special words for Chelsea today. On Arsenal, there is going to be... Look, I saw the Arteta routers in the 3 or 4 days in the build-up to this game do the gimmick of we're going to smash Chelsea. It's going to be... I saw some 4-0 predictions, annihilate them. We're going to show how bad they are. They're a crap club. They're a rubbish team. Fans of this. I felt that was all a setup to attack Arteta, even if they only won 1-0 or 2-1. It was fake. I wouldn't take those Arsenal fans seriously in terms of their words about Chelsea. I think that Arsenal fans should, in the moment, feel disappointed about the overall performance because I don't think it was anywhere near their highest level. That being said, they went away to a very good team. And I think I've criticised Chelsea this season, for instance, the United game, not just because they went down to 10 men, the manager's substitutions, the team's approach, the lack of the space they allowed us after going down to 10 men. Quite often, playing against 10 men can be harder than playing against 11. It was back-to-back Prem games where Chelsea, I've never seen a top team, so easy to play against when going down to 10 men. So I criticised them. I criticised the defending when they lost at home to Sunderland because it warranted it. But the one thing I've never moved away from was my overarching view, and you get too much of this now in content creation, which is, I think Chelsea could be in a title race this year. They lose a game. I think Chelsea have frauded us, mate. They're not going to do it. They win 3. I think they're back in that title race. They draw a game. I knew they were frauds. They're not in the race. It's like every match week, your overarching view of a club and a team doesn't need to change. You can just assess the moment like a normal person. And Arsenal went away to the second best team in the Premier League. Went away to a team that can win the Champions League. Went away from home to a team that just won the Club World Cup. Chelsea are a very good team. And they were physical. They rushed and hurried Arsenal. Arsenal were a little bit off the pace. And yes, they had some players out as well, which is all fair. But Arsenal were nowhere near their level. And I think there is some criticism in that. There are some players like Eze, as an example, who could have done more. Martinelli could have done more. That all being said, sometimes you've got to take yourself out of the moment and reflect on these things. We were talking about this on the Full Fan Highlight Show on the Football Terrace last night. Would you agree the 08-09 Barcelona team was arguably the greatest club team of all time?
Yeah, that or the 11-12 Barca team where Messi went on to score 91 goals or whatever it was that year.
Yeah, that team in their era. I don't know about that season because I didn't look at it, but we were just talking live and looking at things. They lost their opening game of the season to a nobody and drew their second game. They lost one of their qualifying games for the Champions League that year, Barcelona. They lost a group game to Shakhtar or somebody like that.
Yeah.
Some of the greatest teams of all time, within a season, have bad days in the office. Where I would be positive about this as an Arsenal fan is you had one of your worst performances of the season and you didn't lose. That is a positive sign. Yes, you can criticize things that didn't go. And it's, I said earlier about like you don't have to always change your overarching view of a club just because you lose a game or win a game. Equally, you can criticize a performance without throwing baby out with the bathwater and saying it's going to be a disaster, we're going to collapse, it's all over. There's no signs that Arsenal are going to collapse. They've just gone away to one of the hardest places to play at the moment in the Premier League. I don't care that Sunderland won there. Sunderland winning there is an anomaly. Look what they did to Barcelona. Look how good they've been at home, by and large, Chelsea, for a good 6 to 9 months now. And even last season, it was only a 2 or 3 month period of the campaign where it all went a little bit off. They've been a really good team for a long time. Now, are they an elite team that can win league titles? I think that's the next step for them. But there's no embarrassment in going away. The only people that should feel embarrassed are the idiots that were predicting 3 or 4-0 wins, smashing Chelsea. They're a nothing side. They should be embarrassed that they would sit on the internet and lie like that, because there's no way anybody truly believed it was going to be. They just can't. There's no way you can look at this Chelsea team and think that. So I look at Arsenal. Look, are they going to be derailed because of this? No. They've got a 5-point lead at the top of the Premier League. They'd have bitten your hand off for that after 13 games. Go win your next match. You're at home, I think, to Brentford. Go win your next game. Put the result behind you and just keep moving forward. That's all Arsenal have got to do. On Chelsea, I think they're an elite team in the making, as I say. I think and feel another year of growth. I think they're going to be in the title race this year. I've said it all season. They'll be in and around a handful of points away. I think by the end of the season, I predicted 9 to 12 points, maybe off the top by the end of the campaign. But I think, 5 points off now. I think they'll maintain that for a while. I wanted to give another special mention to Reece James, though. I was trying to, we spoke about it the other day. The fact he can play 2 completely different positions to a world-class level is special. Now, there are some players like Sergio Ramos that could play right back and centre back to a world-class level. And that's cool, but they're both defensive. There are some that can play left wing and right wing, but they're essentially the same position, but opposite sides of the pitch. But I'm talking here, someone that can play as a world-class number 9 and a world-class winger, or a world-class 9 and a world-class midfielder, a world-class winger or a world-class midfielder, a fullback or a midfielder, a centre-back or a midfielder. There's very few players, and you can think of, obviously Messi's and Ronaldo's go into that category. There's no doubt about that. Philip Lahm stands out in my mind. Lothar Matthäus stands out in my mind. Kimmich, Ryan Giggs, these guys, even like Paul Scholes, right? So I'm being really pernickety. Paul Scholes, the greatest midfielder of all time, in my opinion. But all these positions were attacking midfield, central midfield, DM. I look at that, you're still midfielder. I'm talking about Giggs, marauding winger that then became a holding midfield player and won Premier League titles doing it and was brilliant. What I'm seeing from Reece James at the minute is beyond special. And I think they should be very proud of themselves yesterday, Chelsea. Just be careful of the narrative you push, though. That's all I'm saying. Be very careful of what you say, because it will be, it's a bit like when you get, you used to watch it on The Bill, you're under arrest. You have the right to remain silent, but anything you do say will be used against you in a court of law. Be very careful what you say. You can't say we proved Arsenal were a crap team, at the same time say we prove we're a very good team. Which is it? Like, be careful of what you say. If I was a Chelsea fan right now, it would be, we know how brilliant Arsenal are, and we stopped them. We show we're in and around that level. And if it wasn't for Caicedo, I do think they'd have gone on to win the game. I think Caicedo, he was just trying to prove he was the best midfielder on the pitch. And that's the one reason. It's the biggest reason I don't think they'll win the league, irrespective of being in the race. It's just maturity levels as a team or individuals. I think they're still a year too young. I think by next season, with a bit more recruitment, I think we'll see a Chelsea team right up here. But I love that game. And it was one of those matches where I looked up at the clock and it was like 89 minutes. I felt disappointed. I was like, oh, don't stop. It was just, there was everything. There was physicality, tackles. Yeah, I loved it. And look, I'd loved it to have remained 11v11, but the referee had to, I think they got the call right to send him off. It was a really bad challenge in that regard. But I also think it's better for the title race. It keeps if Arsenal win, Foden's last minute goal and the draw yesterday.
Saved Man City massively there.
Oh, it keeps the rate.
Yeah. If they drew that game, they've had some poor results recently, City, losing to Villa, losing to Newcastle. If they would have drawn that game 2-0 up against relegation for the Leeds, the meltdown in the City fan base would have been...
Yeah, well, I know that I'm not someone that believes that the league table lies, because I feel that after 38 games, it tells you the truth. But it can lie at this stage of a season, because it depends who you played and where. Arsenal, as an example, have gone away to Liverpool, away to Newcastle, away to United, away to Chelsea, played City at home, and that's like almost half their games. Second half of the season, when they play a lot of those teams again, they're playing them at the Emirates. Mm-hmm. Some teams have won some important games this season, but they've played them at home so far. So suddenly it's like it doesn't always. That's why 38 games is a true reflection of who was best or worst in the league. I actually think Chelsea are better than Man City at the moment. I do think they're better. And yes, they've lost less games. It's just that one. Yesterday was a prime example. Their 13th game was against Arsenal. It wasn't against Leeds United. Had it been the other way around, then Chelsea would sit ahead of... I know they've already played Arsenal this season, but if they'd had a harder game this weekend, City, if they were playing a Sunderland, they were playing a Crystal Palace, if they were playing a Bournemouth, but performed that same way, it could have been very different. They're playing against a relegation side. I don't think they win the league, City, but Chelsea are in the race here, and I think Chelsea are going to finish second now this season. I put them as always finishing top four comfortably. I actually think they're going to finish second now. They're just getting the bit between their teeth. They're gaining that confidence, and there's still players that Palmer to come back, but I don't think Delap's found himself yet, and I think he will. I think he'll click at some point as well. Esteval,
depth they've got as well. Gittins can come in. Esteval. I thought Neto has done really well the last 3 or 4 games. João Pedro's still in there, and then midfield options. Bearing in mind, Lavia has missed nearly 100 games in a Chelsea shirt. But you just throw Reece James in there and you've got a very good right back in Gusto. I think you're right, they are the second best team. Bearing in mind that they've played in the last 8 games or something, they've played 3 of the top 6. Us, Liverpool and Arsenal in the last 8 league games. They haven't had it easy. They played, and the only thing they need to sort out is I think they've had 4 red cards this season, or 5 red cards this season.
Yeah, it's that discipline element. And, we had Ches come on our show yesterday and sort of say, the red cards have come from unforced errors. I think that's wrong. The reason you got Sanchez sent off against Man United is because we were it's only 3 or 4 minutes in, but we were tearing you apart. It was a forced error in the game.
He deserves huge praise as well, Sanchez.
Oh, mate, he was brilliant yesterday. I still stand. I still agree with Don. I'm not letting Don rewrite history. I agree with Don. I still think they need a better goalkeeper, but we're talking about marginal gains here. I think they need better than Chalobah, but it's for the marginal gains. It's for the better extra 5% from a better goalkeeper, an extra 5% from that centre back, an extra 5% from this position, and suddenly you're not just in a title race. You might be able to win the damn thing. But he was excellent yesterday. That being said, it was a really bad. There's still that element of his game. There's a really bad pass out from the back early in the game. The fact it wasn't punished is more about Arsenal than it is Chelsea, and I just think that's an area that they need to improve on. But yeah, look, I was looking at their games here. So they've played Arsenal, they've had Burnley, but that's where again you look at those 2 games there, Burnley, and this is where they're improving. They beat Wolves 3-0. They beat Burnley. Game before that, they beat Spurs, which is a gimme. It's just that Sunderland game, really. Sunderland's the only one.
1 loss in 11.
Yeah, they're doing very, very well, Chelsea, and they're going to be there or thereabouts. They are, but I'm loving the Premier League at the minute. I'm glad with the results over the weekend, just from an outsider perspective, because it keeps things a little closer. I felt like if Arsenal had won and City had dropped those points, it'd then be 9 points, and 11-point lead respectively. And I just think people a lot of a big part of what we do is talk about football. And if the league title race feels over in December, no one wants to talk about football anymore. So it's important that it stays nice and close. But yeah, look, they've got Leeds away next, then they've got Bournemouth away. So 2 away games in the space of 3 days. Real big test for Chelsea. Let's see what they can do. But I think I've got a feeling they're going to come out of that with 2 more wins, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I think they'll beat Leeds comfortably. I think they go there even without Caicedo. Bournemouth will be a test, but again, their form, they lost to Sunderland, drew with West Ham, lost to Villa, lost to City. But I think Chelsea go and win that. And then they've got a tough trip in the Champions League to Atalanta. And then does the red card carry over to the Champions League as well?
No.
No, so they'll have Caicedo back for the Atalanta game. And then...
refresh for that. And it's similar with Arsenal. I mean, they play Brentford next, then they go away to... I mean, Arsenal's next 2 games are really tough because... I mean, the crazy part is, as bad as they were in many people's eyes yesterday, they're still unstoppable in that sense. They're not being beaten. But they've got Brentford at home next, then they're away to Aston Villa. And it's all about the reaction now from them. But they've reacted very well already. They drew with that game to Sunderland, first came back, battered Tottenham, then they beat Bayern Munich, then they draw with Chelsea. They had the draw against Man City, and then they went on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 game winning streak. So
which is just insane.
Yeah, and for me, that's across all comps, to be fair. But go and win the next 2 games, Arsenal. Then they're away to Club Brugge. Then they've got like Wolves at home. The next 3 Premier League games. I think I almost look at it like they definitely win 2 of those next 3. The one thing I would say where Arsenal still got a great advantage is I don't think any team, Chelsea, City, Liverpool, I don't see any of them going on a Premier League winning streak of 7, 8, 9, 10 games. They're all going to drop points as well, which is why I don't think Arsenal should be panicking over dropping points to Chelsea. But we will see. Henry, mate, listen, always a pleasure to sit and speak football with you. Viewers, please get your comments in. Please like, share, and subscribe as you always do. Until next time, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you soon. Thank you.